Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's webinar. Today, we'll be going through setting up yourself as an agent on Nomisma, how you would put in your HMRC credentials, your company's house credentials, set up your emails, as well as your entity settings. And we'll also have a look into tasks and deadlines management as well. So we have a Q&A session as well that will happen towards the end, but feel free to type your questions within the Q&A widget if you did have any questions throughout the webinar, and I'll try to answer them as we go along. And if I'm not able to answer a question, I'll always come back to you in an email. And also, just to let everyone know, you'll all receive a recorded video of this webinar after the session is ended. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope everyone can see my screen now. So when you log in to Nomisma, you are always logging into the agent's dashboard side of things. So this will always be opened, and within your browser, it'll say agents on the top. So on the top right here, it'll basically say agents. And also, just to let you know about an in-app help menu that we have in place. So this is called Need Help, and it's located on the bottom left-hand corner of Nomisma. And if you click into it, we've got some tasks for you where these will tell you how to get started, how to put in all of your information, how to add your clients, etc. And also within the help section, we've got lots of walkthrough guides. So for example, if I click on how to add a business, you will be walked through the steps, the step-by-step process of how you'd add a business within Nomisma. So I wanted to inform you about that. If you are not able to see this widget, it's probably because you've blocked cookies on your browser. So do have that checked and allow for all cookies. But even after that, if you still can't see this widget, just check that just check your browser settings. And if you need help, you can always contact the support team. I'll give you the support team details towards the end of the webinar. And any important updates that happens within Nomisma, we will release shout outs about it, where we link a video to it, and we'll publish a video where you'll just get a pop-up with a video or a step-by-step walkthrough to show you what's been changed in the system. So it's very important for you to have that need help button in the bottom left-hand corner. So, but let's go ahead and let's get started. So as soon as you're logged in, you will be on the agent's dashboard. So from the top here, top left, you'll be able to search for your clients by just typing in their name. If you've accessed any recent clients, you'll be able to quickly jump to those clients by clicking on them. And whenever you open a client up, it'll always open up on a new tab, which means you can get back to the agents tab and open up another client to work on multiple clients at the same time. And then you've got some widgets at the top here. This basically shows you how, as an advisor or as a bookkeeping accountancy practice, what's your workload like? For example, how many businesses do you have without bank feeds where you're manually uploading CSV files, etc.? Or in total, how many pending receipts you need to process across all of your clients, and then the total unreconciled transactions, bank transactions, and then businesses with self-assessments without links to businesses, and also businesses without business users. So Nomisma, one good thing is we offer you the ability to provide your business users, your businesses, with login to Nomisma, so you can give them a portal access to Nomisma, and that's at no extra charge as well. So those are the widgets there, and then and then you have two tables here, one for your clients where you're able to view your active and inactive clients by the services you provide them with and also the type of clients. And if you click into it, you're basically drilling down into the client list. And then you've got the deadlines as well. So Nomisma automatically picks up the final accounts deadline, the corporation tax return deadline, the VAT return deadlines, the payroll submission deadlines, self-assessment and partnership tax return deadlines. It's able to do that because for final accounts, for example, we've got an integration with Companies House. So because of the year-end dates, Nomisma, we've built this into the system to be able to pick up the deadlines that are overdue, tax returns or accounts or payroll that you need to file within a week, a month, 6 months, or etc. So you'll be able to click into them to drill down into the list to work on them. This is very useful. It's automated, and there's no extra work that you need to undertake to set this up. All you need to have is your businesses in the system and their accounting periods. And then before you start off with any work on Nomisma, my advice would be to go into settings on the left menu and to set up all of your details. So settings from the left menu. And the first step would be to fill in your HMRC Government Gateway ID and password, and then click the Save button. This will be your agent details. And this is where you would enter your Companies House presenter account details. So you won't be able, so using a third-party software, not just Nomisma, using any third-party software, you won't be able to file final accounts to Companies House using just the web filing details. So you'll need a presenter account to be able to use software to file your accounts to Companies House. So if you have those details, you'll just need to put them in here. If you don't, you'll always be able to apply to Companies House. There's a form available online that you could just Google it, Google presenter ID application form, and you'll be able to fill that in and submit that via an email to Companies House or via post. And the details of how that's submitted, how that needs to be submitted, is available on that application form as well. And then this will be your advisor details, your name, your title, your address. And then within email setting, you, you need to click on self, and you'll need to put in your emails, your email SMTP server details. So we've got some help here for you. So if you click on this help me button on the top, so I think everyone can see that. So there's the help me button on the top just above pension setup. So if you click on it, we've got some guides on how to, on what server, SMTP server or SMTP port number you need to enter for Office 365, Gmail, Yahoo, AOL. But if it's any other provider, just click on other, and we'll try to and you'll have the guide as to how you can go ahead and get these SMTP details. So you just need to go in, you just need to fill all of these details in, make sure SSL is yes, and then click the save button. And then once this is done, I'd also advise you to send an email from within Nomisma to yourself to just see if it's set up all right. Because with SMTP settings, with your email settings, once you've set it up, it really depends on the email provider you use and the security levels in place on your email account, whether this setup would work as it is, or if you need to create any additional passwords like an app password, etc. And all of that will be explained when you click on the help me button and you go through the steps anyway of filling in all of these details. So let's go ahead and go to email templates. So these are the default. So we've got lots of default email templates in the system. So these are all of the default email templates across the bookkeeping module, VAT return module, your payroll module, self-assessment, etc. So if you want to edit any of these, this is where you do that. You'll just click on the edit button to edit the content of the email, and this is done globally. Um, so you can ignore this other information section, but I'm going to talk to you about pension setup. So if you're going to be using Nomisma's payroll module, and if you're going to be linking in with Nest, Aviva, um, the People's Pension, Smart, etc., you'll need to, before you do that, you'll need to come here, you'll need to click on pension setup, and you'll need to make sure there'll be a button here. So my connection is now active on pension sync, but you will have a button to create that link. So all you need to do is click on that button that's available, and that's done. Then you can go ahead to the payroll module to set up your pension link with those providers. And more information on how that works, etc. I'll be running through that on the payroll webinar. And if you're not aware of when that webinar is, if you need a link to register for it, you can just contact the support team, and we'll let you know how to register for this. So let's move on and let's go into final accounts. These are the final accounts note templates, and these are the final accounts accountant report. So you can set this up at a global level, and you are able to edit these as well if required, but just make sure you don't delete or remove any tags. Um, so this is it in terms of the main setup. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through to MTD settings on the left menu. So let's go there. So this will be for your VAT returns. So if you're going to be filing MTD VAT returns your for your clients using your agent details, after you complete the setup on the settings section, you need to come here and you'll need to click on Read Token first. And then what this does is we will redirect you to HMRC so that you can give so you could tell HMRC that it's okay for you to interact with Nomisma. So you'll go through all of the on-screen instructions, complete all of these details on the gov.uk website. And once you complete this, it'll automatically redirect you back into Nomisma and fill in the read access token and the refresh read access token boxes fields. And then once that's done, you'll then need to click on write token to do the same thing. So to do something similar, so you'll click on write token, and then it'll redirect you to HMRC's website where you need to get further access tokens. And once you've got all of the access tokens, you'll just click on the save button on the top right. So this is in terms of MTE settings. Now there's more settings to go through. Within self-assessment, HMRC data setting. So on our self-assessment module, you have an option. So we have a link with HMRC's API. So you have an option to be able to get data for your clients from HMRC and populate that information directly into the individual's self-assessment tax return. Now, before you use this functionality, you'll need to give HMRC permission to interact with Nomisma. So to do that, you'll go through a similar step that you went through for MTD. So you'll just click on read token. This will redirect you through to HMRC's website where you will follow on-screen instructions. And then you'll be redirected back into Nomisma with these fields automatically completed for you. And then you just need to click on the save button. So the reason why you're going through the setup separately for MTD and HMRC data setting is because these are two completely different services where separate authorization is required. Um, so, um, so this is all of the main setup. Now, once this is done, I'm also now going to show you how you can add clients into the system and then how you can add users into the system, business users into the system, so you can give your clients access to Nomisma. And I'll also be showing you how you can create accountant user access as well for your colleagues. So let's go ahead. So to create a new client, you'll need to click on the plus button on the top right, and then you'll click on New Client. So from here, you'll choose the type of client you want to create, and then I'll talk to you through about the further steps. So I wanted to mention all of these. Limited company is to create a limited company client. Sole trader is when you would use this option if you want to do bookkeeping or final accounts for a sole trader. Partnership is when you would want to do bookkeeping, final accounts, or the partnership tax return for the partnership business. Public limited company, similar to limited company. Limited liability partnership, it's the same thing as well, to be able to do the final accounts and the bookkeeping and the tax return. And self-assessment, that's basically to create the individual so that you can do their individual tax return, the SA 100 tax return. So for example, let's say you have a sole trader and you want to do their self-assessment tax return as well. So you want to do their bookkeeping as well as their self-assessment tax return on Nomisma. So in that instance, what you would do is you would create them as a sole trader, do their bookkeeping, and then you will also create them as an individual in the system by choosing the self-assessment option, and then you link them through together when you're doing the tax return. And this is explained again in the self-assessment webinar that's running, that we do once every 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and look at how you would create a limited company. So click on limited company, and then you have 3 options. Do a you can do a company's house search to search for a company and then get the details from company's house into Nomisma. You can manually add the limited company into Nomisma by choosing this option, or you can batch upload companies into Nomisma. Say you have 10 or more companies or 5 or more companies to upload. Instead of doing them one by one at a time, you can just batch upload them together on Nomisma. And if you need any help with data migration, we are here to help you. If you don't want to do this yourself, we are here to help you for any data migration that you'd like to do. So the company's house search, let's go ahead and type. So if I just say Debenhams, it comes up with all of the companies that has Debenhams in its name. And all you need to do is select the right company. And then when you do that, and then you'll just need to click on, just have a look at all of the details. Should be correct because it's coming from company's house. And then you'll click on the create button to create the client. So it's as simple as that. Or you could do it manually as well. So this is how you would add a client into the system. Now, I want to give you a little bit more detail about what happens after that. So let's go into clients on the left menu. So after you've added the client into the system, there will be a situation where you might want to do the bookkeeping on Nomisma, but not the final accounts, or you could want to do both the final accounts and the bookkeeping, or you just want to file the final accounts and not the bookkeeping side of things. So if any of these are relevant, you would find the client within the list. You will find the bookkeeping record, and then you'll click on edit. And then you've got services here. So within here, you'll choose the drop-down menu, and then you could say if you want to use the bookkeeping and final accounts, or just the bookkeeping, or just the final accounts. You can always change this back and say you want to do both as well later on. So I just wanted to mention this to everyone. Um, and moving on now, let's have a look at how you would give these clients access to Nomisma. So you'll click on the plus button on the top right, and then you'll click on new user. And then this is where you can add an accountant user or a business user. So let me go ahead and click on business. You'll put in the email of the person who you want to give the access to. You can create a different username if you don't want to use the email, or you could just check this box to use the email as the username. And then you'll put in the first name, last name, phone number, user status if they're active or inactive on Nomisma, and then you'll click on next. And then when you click on next, you could give them further roles. You could tell them, okay, so it's just a read-only license, so they're only able to view their records but not do anything with them. You can restrict IP address if required, and also you could give them an administrator, bookkeeping, invoice-only option, VAT, bookkeeping, payroll options. And then the next step is where you would go into to give them business access. I can't it's just thrown me out, so I'm just gonna try to go back. So I'll just use this active and um, test, and then let's just go back, and then we'll just choose this option. Okay, let's do that. Perfect. So this is where business access, you would come in and give this user access to their business. So you'll just type in the business name, and then it'll come up in a drop down menu, and then you'll just need to click on the business name, and that's it. Just click on the save button to complete the process of adding a business user. So if this business user has multiple companies, and they're a director of say 5 or 6 companies, you can give them access to all of those 6 companies on Nomisma. Let's close this now. And then let's go to accountant user. So this is very simple. Accountant users currently have access to all clients, but in the future, we'll be giving you an advanced functionality where you're able to restrict access to certain to just certain clients, etc. So for now, it's simple. You just go and put in the email, username, first name, last name, and then set up permissions to create the accountant user. So if I go into the user section from the left menu, so users on the left. Now let's say you need to a director has a new business and you need to give them access to that new business on Nomisma. So you can do that by clicking on the 3 dots against the business, and then you can click on assign business to assign other businesses again to them later on after you've created the business user. Now, self-assessment, we've got a self-assessment mobile app. So what you're able to do is you're able to add a business user record. You're able to create a business user record, and you're able to click on assign SA to assign an individual tax return to this business user so they can submit tax questionnaires to you via the self-assessment mobile app, communicate with you via the mobile app, for example, to provide approval of the tax return once it's completed. So this is how you would give them that access. So now that we've had a look at how you'd add a client and how you would add accountant and business users, I also wanted to speak to you about what you would do if you get a new client and they are already a Nomisma user. So they are a Nomisma user either from another accountant, or could be that they are using Nomisma as a business user and they become your client. So in that case, you don't need to click on new business user to add them as a new business user here. Instead, you would click on the invite client button to invite them into your agent account. So you'll just click on the invite client button, put in their email address that's registered on Nomisma, and then you'll just click on the send button. And this way you're inviting an existing Nomisma business user into your profile. So now what I'd like to show you is I'd like to show you some task list and work pools and how you'd assign tasks to accountants, etc. So I'm going to show this to you on the VAT return side of things first. So let's go into VAT return and then let's go into VAT return dashboard. So if you did have any questions while I'm going through this webinar, feel free to type in your questions on the Q&A section, and I'll try to answer them as we go along. So within the dashboard, you've got some widgets on the top. So that gives you details about any overdue tax returns, filed VAT returns, failed VAT returns, if there's any failed VAT returns that are due within 30 days, in 30 days, and the total number of VAT clients you have. You can drill down into these KPIs. And you're also able to view VAT returns that are allocated to an accountant. So here you'll have a list of the accountants and any VAT return allocated to that accountant. So for example, Ting Ting has 3 overdue VAT returns to file. And if you drill down into them, you'll be able to go into the task list for Ting Ting. But if we just go back, so there is a question that's asked about, please can you clarify the difference between invite client user and invite business user? So we'll just pause on this side of things for just a moment and we'll quickly open up the users tab. So there's only one option that's called invite client, and there's another option called new business user. So you would use the new business user option when the user is not using has not used Nomisma or is not part of Nomisma yet. But if there's a business user that already subscribes to us directly and they become your client, then that's when you would use the invite client button to invite the existing Nomisma user to your profile. So I hope this answers your question, but if not, do ask follow-up questions as well. So there's another question. Hi, if I just will do bookkeeping, can I give other accountancy practice access? And they can submit CT600 using their HMRC login details, how they will enter them. Okay, so when you purchase Nomisma, you're purchasing this for your practice. So you wouldn't be able to invite another accountancy practice into your account, so they can put in their details. So so the tax returns and the accounts can be submitted. Um, but I do have your details here, and if there's something that you want to speak about, we can talk about it after the session. So I'll have this in my list and we'll talk about this after the session. But now let's go back into the VAT Return Dashboard. So as I was saying, you will be able to view all of the VAT returns that are allocated to a particular accountant on the dashboard. You'll also be able to view them by their work status. You'll be able to see what the VAT returns that are not started or in progress or awaiting approval, and you'll also be able to see when they are due. Are they overdue? Are they due in a week, in a month, etc.? And if we now go into task list on the left menu under the VAT return option, task list. So within this section, you'll be able to see all of your VAT returns that's allocated to an accountant, and the ones that are not allocated to an accountant as well. So the ones that are not allocated to an accountant, you'll just see a sign here, and if you click on it, you'll be able to go ahead and select the accountant's name to to assign this VAT return to that accountant. Now if we go to VAT return on the left menu and then work pool, within here, you'll be able to see a list of VAT returns that are not yet allocated or assigned to any accountant. So the task list gives you a view of all of the VAT returns, and the work pool gives you the option to assign the unassigned VAT returns to accountants so they can work on it. So that's what this is about. So now what we'll do is we'll go into self-assessment on the left menu, and then we'll click on dashboard. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just gonna, sorry about that. So we are currently on the self-assessment dashboard on the agent side of things. So we've got some KPIs here as well, and these KPIs are in relation to aged approvals. So when you send a tax return for approval and the client doesn't respond for 30 days, you'll be able to chase them up by drilling down into the details. This is aged tax questionnaires. So if you've sent out a tax questionnaire and they've not responded to you for 30 days, you'll be able to drill down into that list. And then you'll be able to compare what's filed, what's to be filed, and the total number of self-assessment clients from last year to this year on this date. And if I scroll to the bottom here, you have further, you'll be able to further drill down into tax returns that are not allocated to an accountant and not started, where this questionnaire has been sent, the tax questionnaire response has been received, etc., etc. So all of the work statuses within the self-assessment side of things, and if they're allocated to an accountant or not. So you'll be able to really drill down into this list. Now, within this section, within this on the self-assessment webinar that we'll be doing, I'll also be talking to you about our digital tax questionnaire and how you can send reminders for clients to complete digital tax questionnaires. A cool feature about this is when you send tax questionnaires for your clients to complete, and if they complete and send that back, you can automatically just click on a button and save the details directly into the tax return. But we'll go through more of that on the self-assessment webinar. So there's another question from someone, and they ask this: what happens if the collaboration with the client ends? Does the client still has access if we delete it? How we delete a client? So that's a good question. So this depends on how you deal with the client. So if you delete the client from the system, you're also deleting the records, the client records from the system, so they won't have access to it anymore. Currently, we don't have the functionality where the end users yourself are able to delete clients from the system, but we are going to be providing you with this functionality in the future. So for now, you have two options in terms of deleting clients. You can either make them inactive, or you can contact us and we can get them deleted from the back end until you have this functionality. And in terms of clients having access to the data, you just would need to mark them as inactive. And when you do that, you'll still be able to access that client's data. Um, um, the data will still be there in the system. It won't be deleted, but it'll just be inactive. And if they say come after a month or 6 months and say, can I have this report, please? You're able to provide that to them. I hope this answers the question, but if not, do post more questions. Okay. So this is the self-assessment side of things. We've got a work pool here for the self-assessment side of things as well. And similarly, we've got a final accounts dashboard. So we've got dashboards for every module where you're able to have all of these KPIs on the top, as well as drill down into final accounts, corporation tax, drill down um, into when the return or the accounts is due to be submitted, and what the status is. Is it on hold? Is it awaiting approval, etc., etc.? And you'll also be able to drill down into the list of records that are not allocated to an accountant, just at the bottom here. And also you'll be able to view what each accountant has been assigned, what work has been assigned to each accountant. And then you've got that within partnership as well, and then within payroll as well. So we'll be enhancing the payroll dashboard to be similar to the self-assessment and the VAT return dashboards as well. So you'll be able to view the status. You'll be able to drill down into the payroll, pension, and P11D um, overdue returns, payroll submissions, pensions, or P11D, manual payrolls, your auto payrolls, any failed submissions. You'll be able to see them here, and you'll be able to drill down into the list and take necessary action. And the number of submissions that are due, and also auto submissions that are due, and the total count of payrolls and pensions and P11Ds that you process. So what's the difference between manual payroll and auto payroll? So on Nomisma, we have an option where you're able to automate payrolls, where the payrolls are processed every month automatically and a submission attempt is made to HMRC. And that functionality is available for simple payrolls where there's no pensions involved, and it's mainly for director-only payrolls where they're paid below the national insurance threshold. But we'll cover more of that on the payroll side of things. But we've come to the end of this session. And if anybody did have any questions, do I'll keep the floor open for a few more minutes, so you can go ahead and ask any questions that you have. And if you did need to contact us later on, you can contact us. You can contact the support team via email. That's support@nomisma.co.uk, or you can give us a call on 020-3021-2326. I'll send you all of these details anyway with the recording of this webinar, so you have that with you in place. Thank you so much for listening in.